Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The Everchosen has set out for battle as he faces off against the forces of Sigmar. We have Mule controlling the Chaos forces, and we have Croissant Bart will be leading the Empire. So for the forces of Chaos here, we have, of course, Archaon, the Everchosen. He's going to be bringing Slayer of Kings. He has Standard Eye, as well as Burning Head, Cascading Firecloak, and Fireball. So for his supporting units, he does have triple Horse Masters, a fairly decent skirmish force for the Chaos, as well as one unit of Horsemen. Now, generally speaking, like the Horse Masters are quite a bit better than the Horsemen, but against the Empire has some pretty good skirmishing forces themselves in the form of Pistoliers and Outriders, which usually trade much better into the Chaos skirmishers than the Chaos trade into the Empire ones. But for the rest of the forces, we do have Chaos Marauders for that kind of front line, as well as a pair of Chaos Armored Trolls. So they will be rocking 110 armor. They do have armor piercing themselves to kind of help punch through some of the more heavily armored things, such as the Empire Knights. We do have some Chaos Warriors, though, in the back, some more very heavily armored troops to help deal with the Empire. And of course, we also do have a Hell Cannon. Generally against the Empire, I probably wouldn't recommend bringing the Hell Cannon, but on this map, it definitely favors the Hell Cannon much more than pretty much most other maps, because the Empire, even if they had brought cannons here, it wouldn't matter for that Hell Cannon. They wouldn't have been able to get it into position to really fire directly at it. So very nice heads up by Mule for the map choice. Realizing that there was this hill here, so he was able to kind of counter that with that Hell Cannon. Now, for the rest of the Empire forces here, we do have quite the mobility force with some Outriders. We have a pair of Outriders, and we have triple Pistoliers as well. So this is what I was saying about the skirmishing potential for the Empire. The Pistoliers, and especially the Outriders, will trade much better into the Chaos skirmishing. Now, the only thing with the Outriders is they don't have 360 fire, so as long as the Chaos skirmishers are on top of things, they should be able to at least try and keep these Outriders running more so than shooting, and that Hell Cannon should also help in that regards. And I think without that Hell Cannon, that skirmishing force would have been a lot harder to deal with than they have it for this particular battle. Now, for the Spearmen, we have some Spearmen and Swordsmen for that front line, as well as the Sons of Sigmar Sons, as well as a unit of Great Swords to help punch through that armor that the Chaos is so known for. But that's the only unit that we're going to be seeing for the Great Swords. They're pretty much going to be relying heavily on that skirmishing. We do have Karl Franz as well, with Reichling, Runefang, and Gal Maraz, as well as Standard Eye and Foe Seeker. And for the heavy hitters on the Cav Force, we do have the Royal Altdorf Griffites, as well as a Demigryph Knight with just the regular variant, and they will be supported by a Jade Wizard, bringing Regrowth and Earthblood. So these heavy hitters are going to be pretty much dealing with the armored trolls and trying to punch through that front line. There isn't going to be too much to counter them other than the other skirmishers and that Hell Cannon. So we'll see how this is going to play out. I imagine it's going to be a bit more of a little back and forth early on, but let's get things going as we are ready to progress. So Hell Cannon is firing away, landing a shot or two amongst those Outriders, but otherwise the rest of the skirmishers are going to try and circle around, and so far are going to be able to do fairly decently. The one unit is going to get a little tripped up by these Chaos Marauders, but otherwise are going to be able to kind of pull right on through. And now the Horse Masters and Horsemen are going to be coming in to provide a bit of counter skirmishing. But these Pistoliers should be able to kind of kite away and just fire off into this distance. Now these Pistoliers are going to be getting caught by these Chaos Marauders, and they have taken a considerable amount of damage actually from the fire of the Chaos forces. But the Chaos skirmishers are a little spread out right now, kind of trying to focus on Karl a little bit, and also these Pistoliers, and that could be a little bit of a mistake there, seeing them spread out, because the Chaos really needs all of their skirmishers to contend with the Pistoliers and Outriders, because having them just kind of turn and fire, they're going to do a ton of damage into these units, as you see these volleys start to rain in into these things. But so far they have traded fairly decently. These Pistoliers and these two Pistolier units have taken a decent amount of damage so far, but the focus fire from them have been able to whittle down these horse masters pretty good themselves, and that hell cannon continuing to sing as it is landing amongst these great swords, which is a very nice target for it. There is a nice little clumped up unit here, so another shot we're starting to rain in, and that is going to do a lot of damage as the pistoliers are mixed in with the greatsword, so a nice bit of crossfire on both sides. And these outriders, though, seeing how they're just massacring these horse masters right now at range, and Chaos really can't really do anything other than shoot at them with their hell cannon, as now that the forces of Sigmar are starting to really push back all of the skirmishers. We do have a nice little burning head going to be coming right on through, right down the lines of these swordsmen, just absolutely taking them out. Going to be routing right off that cast. Very nice cast indeed. Now the Sigmar Sons, though, they're going to be a little harder to break, as they are going to be unbreakable, and the Chaos Trolls are going to be engaging here with the great swords and Karl Franz. A lot of damage going the way of Karl here, as they are taking a lot of damage, but these Chaos Marauders did get terrified, leaving those armored trolls by themselves, and even though they have a decent amount of HP left, they are very low in leadership and will be routing due to Karl and those great swords. So having those Marauders get terrified there, very unfortunate for Chaos, and a nice rear charge by these pistoliers. Not really a combat cav unit, but able to break these nonetheless with the fire coming from the front. So the Empire are pushing in pretty heavily right now. The skirmishing going their way, and Karl Franz able to break some of these very expensive armored trolls, and the other armored trolls is going to rout as well due to the charge of the demis. But one of the demis has taken a lot of damage in return, and they are getting caught up with Archaon, and he's going to be doing quite a bit of damage, wavering the Royal Altdorf Griffites, as they will actually rout here. They're going to be in need of a little bit of healing from that Jade Wizard, so hopefully that Jade Wizard is going to be around pretty close to get some of that healing their way. Karl Franz is going to be jumping on top of that Hell Cannon, though, doing a lot of good work there. Still, these are unbreakable crew, though, so it's not going to be so easy to break them, and in comes Archaon, going to be coming in to duel Karl Franz, 1v1, and he does have the Slayer of Kings also popped, giving him plus 75 armor piercing, slash attack, and base weapon damage, and also has the cascading fire cloak on him, so he is just going to be a world beater, beating down Karl Franz. Karl Franz is just trying to get out, but he is running the wrong way straight into Archaon, and man, he is just taking a ton of damage, and that focus fire now coming in from all the horse masters is actually going to finish off Karl Franz. Archaon claiming another king for his sword, as another burning head scorching through these great swords. Definitely a misplay there by Croissant, allowing Karl Franz to get pretty much just completely taken out there. Very unfortunate, and this burning head's gonna be doing a lot of friendly fire too, going through those Chaos Warriors and continuing to arc its way down the lines, hitting a bunch of friendly troops as well as enemies there. But the great swords are going to be offline, and the Demigryph Knights are going to have a lot of heavy lifting now, as well as these Pistoliers and Outriders, and I don't know if there's enough ammunition left in all of these Pistoliers and Outriders to deal with all of the Chaos Warriors, especially now that the great swords are pretty much done and dusted, and the Demigryph Knights are getting pretty low as well, and I do not see the Royal Altdorf Griffites anymore on the map as well, as we do have a unit off in the distance running away. That is just the swordsman. So Archaon definitely going to be a hard nut to crack. We do actually, here are the Royal Altdorf Griffites going to be trying to get a surround off onto Archaon, but they are down to 13 models and are getting very low on health. So they are slowly whittling down the forces of Chaos as well, and surprisingly enough, the balance power is ever so slightly in the favor of the Empire, despite the fact that Karl Franz was taken out of the picture so early on. The Hell Cannon is somehow way up here. I don't know where the crew has gone. It looks like they are just kind of off in the distance here, but another burning head going to be kind of roasting through some of these Pistoliers, trying to get them to break. But yeah, so far the Royal Altdorf Griffites still keeping a nice little surround off. The other units of Demis getting a nice charge in, and they just are trying their best to whittle down Archaon bit by bit, as he doesn't really have any immediate support right now, as here is the Jade Wizard here with a little extra healing coming the way of these Demis. Could be quite nice indeed. But otherwise, the Chaos Forces have been able to push back the Pistoliers, Outriders, and all of the infantry for the Empire is pretty much gone at this point, even though the balance power apparently is continuing to go into the favor of the Empire bit by bit, as a nice little fireball arcing its way towards that Jade Wizard, trying to do a little bit of poking damage. as he is trying to chase off these horse masters. And it is going to be down to pretty much just the Chaos Warriors and Archaon against some very beleaguered Demigryph Knights and some Pistoliers and Outriders with pretty low ammo. And those Outriders, I think, at this point need to conserve their ammo and try and snipe out Archaon. They can't really, I know they need to do a lot of damage to the Chaos Warriors, but the Demis cycling in and out should be able to do fairly well. But Archaon is going to be such a tough nut to crack, as he is actually wavering these Demis bit by bit. And that Hell Cannon is going to come back online. It still has 2 units. I'm not even sure if these just 2 units is enough to even crew the Hell Cannon at this point. I think you might need 3 or 4 to do that. But otherwise, the rest of the forces slowly getting whittled down, ammunition getting spent by the Outriders and the Pistoliers, and that balance of power coming back to even as that ammunition isn't able to finish off the Everchosen himself. We do have this unit, though, of Outriders, which is sitting very pretty on ammunition, and might be exactly what it takes to finish him off. Now that Jade Wizard over chasing those Horse Masters quite a bit and unable to rout them off, as he is going to be routed off himself, and with him so close to the edge of the map, he is going to be gone, and that is going to be a severe loss for the Empire, as they do lose their healing, and they still needed that with the Demis on the field. But the Pistoliers trying to commit to melee now to bog down Archaon as best that they can and allow this last unit of Outriders to do as much damage. But yeah, slowly but surely, Chaos is dragging these Empire forces through the mud at this point, and it is just going to be a little too little, I think, for that the Empire has left to deal with the heavy armor of the Chaos Warriors. But they are going to be able to rout Archaon, so there could be a way back if these Demis are able to cycle charge effectively and make sure Archaon does not come back. But these Chaos Warriors, very heavy armor, and now those Outriders can start focusing their shots onto them, shooting into the backs of them, as they do have a silver shield, so they don't want to be firing on that side of them, trying to maximize the damage as best they can. But not chasing Archaon here could prove a little bit disastrous. I don't think you want to be chasing with the Demis, but these Pistoliers get routed off, and the Demis are going to have to be engaged with Archaon, forcing him to come off. However, the Chaos Marauders here are going to be engaging with those Outriders, and Archaon, the Everchosen, does finally fall to these Demis, but he has done quite a bit of damage this match, and the rest of the Chaos forces, these Chaos Warriors, going to be quite a bit of trouble to deal with, and we do have some Horse Masters coming back for some mobility. And the Outriders are on their last bits of ammunition, but it is still a close match. And if these Demis, that is not going to be good for those Demis. They are going to get sandwiched in by 2 units of Chaos Warriors. They did not want to take that charge in there, because now they are just getting sandwiched, and they do route so close to that white line, and that is going to be unfortunate for them. They definitely needed to take that charge into the rear of one of those units, as 2 of them were wavering. Both of these Chaos Warriors, had that charge been the Demigryph Knights come at a different angle, that may have been just enough to break this bastion of Chaos troops, and that would have been the way the Empire was going to be able to come back. But now that those Demis are off the field, that is going to be it for the Empire forces, and Chaos will win the day. Unfortunate for the Empire there. They definitely had a chance in that late game, despite the fact that Karl Franz was taken out so early on. And if we take a look at Karl Franz, he did make 1,000, but for his cost, that was not worth it. And if we take a look at Archaon, on the other hand, 3,500, doing a ton of damage to Karl Franz. When that Slayer of Kings is popped, Karl Franz didn't want to be anywhere near melee with Archaon. He had to wait for that thing to wear off, but he tried to pull out in the wrong direction, got caught up, and just took way too many hits, and did go down very early on. The Demis, though, doing quite well, getting almost 2,000 on the regular and 16 on the Royal Altdorfs. And for the rest of the skirmishing forces, doing decent, I guess, for the Pistoliers, able to pay for themselves. Outriders, on the other hand, doing quite well indeed. They do cost 700, so they more than paid for themselves, showing just how good they can be in that matchup. Rest of the forces really didn't do a whole lot for the Empire. Jade Wizard overextending a bit earlier on, and if we take a look at the forces of Chaos is take a look at just how their value did. Armor Trolls definitely did not do a whole lot, but holy crap, 2,000 on this unit of Horsemasters, doing so much good work, unable to get completely shut down, and I think a lot of that was the one that dealt a lot of damage to that Jade Wizard, getting some value there, as well as just peppering Karl Franz throughout the course of that battle. So Pistoliers and Outriders weren't quite able to push them off and allowing them to just rack up the value, but Archaon himself so hard to crack, and definitely in that late game when it was just the 2 Chaos Warriors left and the Hellcannon crew with 1 unit of Horsemasters left, that last Demigryph Knight, it charged right into the middle of that group, and when the 2 Chaos Warriors kind of collapsed upon them, causing them to rout, had those Demis chased in from the rear of either of those units, they may have been able to cause a break there and allowed them to contend with those Horsemasters coming in a little late, and could have pulled it back even in that last few minutes of that battle. But alas, Chaos does pull through, and the forces of Sigmar do fall. And that is going to be all I have for you all today. I do hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good one.